And we're live.
Woo woo.
Whoop, whoop, Yarn Life. Jess is back. Yay!
Yay! I'm back. Thank you guys so much for joining us here for the Yarn Life Show for your daily dose of fiber. I'm Jess Mason, founder and lead educator with the Yarnpreneur Academy.
And I'm Selena Baca, founder, host, and lead educator with the American Crochet Association. And together, Jess and I bring you the Yarn Life Show.
I feel like we need a theme song. Every time we do it, I feel like we need, like, I was watching Jeopardy last night. Like, we could do.
I know. Season three.
Yeah. All right, guys. So come on in and get tangled up in this fun, upbeat, educational channel that's dedicated to the hanks, skeins, balls, and cake that we love the most. I like that, Selena. And to the people who make the most of them, because yarn is life. Season 2 will stream live every Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time and 2 p.m. Eastern time. So please subscribe to this channel and you'll never miss an episode.
That's right. And today's episode is sponsored in part by you viewers. Check our Yarn Life swag shop to pick up a token tee, tote, or mug today, because every purchase that you make over there not only gives you really amazing products that you'll totally love, it also helps us to create more great episodes and bring on even more amazing guests. You can find our shop link in the show notes section today.
Yes. All right. So today we're into season 2, episode 7. Selena and I were just saying that we can't believe we're already at episode 7. We have a huge topic today that is not really regulated in the yarn world. So we're talking about pattern testing. For this, we typically have more questions than answers. So today's episode will outline and demystify this topic.
Yes.
So maybe you're a pattern writer looking for some good help, or maybe you're a knitter or a crocheter with a keen eye for proofing. In either case, we have a checklist. We like to be organized, go through things in a systematic fashion. So we have a checklist that should be helpful for both parties. So no matter what side of the fence you're on, to get the testing roadway more streamlined and accessible for everyone.
Absolutely. So if you are watching here, whether you're here live or you're watching on the replay, come on over and comment on this video to let us know if you have any questions about pattern testing. And please let us know where you're viewing from. It's always so fun to see what part of the world the Yarn Life Show is touching.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things.
Know about the weather. So you could also...
Yeah, I like to know about the weather. I like to live, if it's nice weather, I like to live vicariously through other people.
That's right. And if it's terrible, we get to appreciate where we are.
Yes, exactly. So either way, everyone wins. All right. So we have quite a few people checking in with us today. Hi, Simone, Wanda, Tina, Violet. Hey, guys. Wanda, FYI, it starts now. I know you wanted to know what time it starts. It starts now. Here we are. So
we're here live.
Here we are. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun. So I did want to say, before we get into the checklist, do we have any questions or comments from the audience, Jess? Anything other than
I do not see anyone. Everyone's just saying hi.
All right. So before we get into this checklist, we do want to make just a few notes about pattern testing. Anything that will be published, we want to say should be thoroughly proofed for typos, for correct spelling, for things like grammar and things like that, making sure that your math is correct. However, in addition to that entire proofing process, that's a whole other ball. That's a whole other episode.
Whole other ball of yarn.
Whole other ball of yarn. In addition to the proofing aspect of it, patterns should also be hand tested. Yes, that means other people actually following your instructions to see if the math is right, to see if the instructions are clear, to see if the item comes to fruition as it's intended. You know, like you don't want to write instructions for a bath mat and it come out like a king size blanket. You know.
Are you speaking from experience?
Yes, I am actually. I am. I think most people can feel those feels. I think they understand.
Definitely. Yeah, I think we've all either been on the end of I designed something and then someone else made it and it didn't turn out the way mine did, or you're reading a pattern and you're making it and you're like, this does not look like the picture.
No.
It happened.
Hand testing is so important, in addition to just someone reading and just kind of like, with the red pen, treatment,
Right.
kind of going through it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's a great point to make. Let's differentiate between pattern testing and tech editing or any other types of proofreading or things like that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So pattern testing, we've got our checklist, and we want to make this whole thing more streamlined and accessible. So we're going to go through, we have 5 awesome tips for you guys here. So we're going to start with number 1. And the first one is use your own community. So Selena, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. This is something Jess and I talk about all the time. But basically, if you're writing patterns and selling patterns, you're going to greatly benefit from having your very own online community. You can build a community with all kinds of engaging activities, and using that tribe, using your community that you've built, people who know you, who like you, who trust you, to help proof and test your patterns, that's just one perk for you. So that's why Jess and I really strongly agree that you've got to build your own community, people who know you, like you, trust you, and then invite them into that process of testing.
Yeah, I definitely think it's important to have that connection with your testers.
Yeah.
I think that extra layer of them understanding, who you are and what you're trying to create makes for a better testing experience overall.
Absolutely.
Okay, so number 2. I'm doing like Charlie's Angels. Dun, dun, dun. Number 2, anyone can be a tester. I think this is something that trips some people up. So Selena, elaborate.
So anyone who knits or crochets, let's just clarify that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you're a knitter and you're writing patterns, if you're a crocheter and you're writing patterns, anyone who can knit and crochet, it could be, it is a potential candidate. So we should also have another layer of that. Once the experience level of that particular pattern is outlined,
right.
Any yarn lover who is at least within that skill category can be a great testing candidate. And in fact, that particular, Jane Doe in your group, if you're utilizing your community, who maybe has never professionally been a pattern tester before, they may find more typos than someone who's maybe more seasoned. Maybe they can help you to streamline what your verbiage is. Maybe you have a writing style that if Jane Doe in your community is potentially going to be one of your clients, maybe they don't quite understand your verbiage, and maybe just having that person to proof and hand test could help you really streamline how you write so that you can really reach a wider audience with greater ease.
Yeah, I also think this is, don't get mad at me, but I don't remember who told me this. It could have been you, it could have been someone else. I have a terrible memory.
Oh, you're fine. I could never be mad at you.
But I remember someone saying that it's really great to get a wide range of experience within the experience level of the pattern itself.
Yes.
A wide range of experience for each pattern, because like you said, you will get people who are really seasoned and will automatically kind of fix things in their head and not even realize they're doing it, or translate things a little bit differently because they have certain experience behind them. Whereas a newbie, might look at it completely differently, might not understand certain shorthands, even not abbreviations, because obviously we, write those out, but, things like that they'll just see from a different perspective that will make your pattern better. And having that wide range, from someone who's just starting to someone who's kind of in the middle to someone who's a little more experienced will give you kind of the best overall feedback on your pattern.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. That sounds like something I would say. So I'll No, it does, because I do believe that that is an excellent philosophy to follow in this line of work. What I've found is that, when I open the doors to testing whenever I write patterns. And I do have a wide variety of, if this pattern is intermediate level, that means it has these characteristics. If you would like to test this, basically come on over and let me know you want to test this. They're going to give me feedback that is going to allow me to see those instructions in a completely different lens. Because when I'm writing it, I'm like, I've already made it. I know how to make it. This is how I think it should be written. I could be making key elements that makes it more universal and accessible. So that's why I find it very inviting. I definitely don't close it off and only ask for a certain experience level from certain people who have tested before. It's awesome to see, what kind of feedback you can get from anyone.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Before we get into our next tip, I want to say hi to a few people who have joined us since the beginning. We have Courtney. Violet said hi again. She said, it's cold and white here in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I do not envy you. I am very sorry. Mm-hmm. Linda said hi from the damp UK. Natalia said hi. Hey, guys. Courtney's in southeastern PA. Cool. Sunny and chilly. Courtney. Pretty close to me. Southeastern PA.
You guys should hook up.
Go East Coast.
Literally. Like if crochet, knit.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
It would be awesome. I love real life.
Hashtag yarn life goals.
Oh. True story. Okay. So back to our checklist. Pattern testing. We're on number 3. So we're going to talk about using Google Docs. I know Google Docs is like the best thing since sliced bread.
Right.
If you're looking to collaborate on documents. So Selena, how does this fit into our pattern testing process and help out?
Yeah. So I wish I started using Google Docs years before I actually started using them for pattern testing. So I want to share what I used to do so that you really can appreciate, understand why Google Docs is so amazing. So years ago, before I knew about Google Docs, when I needed a pattern tested, I would collect my testers, I would email all of them a PDF, and then we would all have separate conversations, which was ridiculous and overwhelming because, maybe we'd all catch the first correction, and then I'd have to update the PDF, and then I'd have to email it to everyone and email everyone an update. And if you had multiple updates or if you were having multiple conversations, it was a wreck.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine doing that anymore. So if you're not using Google Docs and you need to have pattern testing done, really it's so fantastic. Google Docs, they're universal. That means if you have the internet, you can access Google Docs. You don't just have to have a Gmail account. The Google Docs is a great platform for collaborations, and pattern testing is a collaborative effort. You have the person who wrote the pattern and all the people who are proofing and testing the pattern, and you can all you can all look at this document at the same time. You can do now. I know some of you, if you're not familiar with Google Docs, you may go, I don't want my pattern on the internet. Cool. You can set permissions so that only certain testers can view. Like you can set permissions based on email addresses alone. So if you have pattern testers, if you have their email address, that is their access. That is their login, is logging in by having that email address. You can add features like live commenting. What I like to do is I set permissions on my document so that no one can alter the document. So that way, no one's altering or revising or rewriting, but they can just leave comments or edit suggestions, and I can either accept those edit suggestions or I can continue to revise and have a conversation about it. Again, all of these features are live. It's live commenting. It's instant updates. All of those things really help to make the pattern writing and the pattern editing process universal and easy for everyone involved. That way, you're not constantly updating a PDF and then changing it. This is version 2, and then you're sending it to your testers again. And then what if they already downloaded the? It's a nightmare. Google.
I'm getting a headache just thinking about it.
And I can't believe I used to test patterns that way. I mean, now that I have Google Docs, I'm like, there is no way I'm ever going back.
Yeah, I think For anyone who doesn't use Google Docs on a regular basis for other things, it can seem really intimidating, but I can tell you that it's much simpler than you think. It's actually much simpler than Word for those of you who still like Word and are familiar with that. Yeah, it's much, much simpler. And you have a lot more features like Selena was talking about. It's really fantastic. Linda actually wrote in, she said, I've tested 2 patterns for Selena. And that was the first time I'd ever used Google Docs. And that's awesome. Amanda said Google Docs is amazing. Courtney said Google Docs and I are super tight.
Right. Right.
And I just have to interject real quickly because Natalia wrote in and she said she's watching. I think this is like some sort of record of some kind. She said she's watching us in between contractions while she's having a baby.
What?
I was like, oh my God.
That's amazing. You have to give us updates now. We have to know everything.
I know you've got a lot going on, but we need to, we need to know.
All right. This episode of the Yarn Life Show is officially dedicated to you and your new baby. And this please.
I love it. Oh
right.
I was like, oh, that's crazy. That's so cool. Yeah. So congrats, Natalia.
Congratulations.
And yeah, this one's for you. All right. So we have 2 more checklist items to get through. We're on number 4. And we're talking about getting at least 1 tester per size.
Yeah.
So this does not apply to every pattern, but it will apply to some. And for those of you who do anything that has sizes, you're going to want to get each of those hand tested. So Selena, give us a little more detail about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Having more than 1 tester per size offered is going to help put more eyes on those instructions that you've written. But it also does something else really fantastic. It also gives you a pool of finished projects to share. And social proof, that's basically what we're talking about. That is super powerful. And it's showing the yarn communities that other people are actually working up your designs. And that is a great form of advertisement. So I know I shoved a lot into my answer right there. But again, I want to go back to that first point. You know, having as many eyes as possible on all the different parts of your pattern is fantastic. And sizing, it can be very crucial. Sometimes I've made things in multiple sizes and there's one size that just didn't work out for some reason, or maybe I made something too long or too short, or there's some kind of, you know, typo that just makes that fundamentally impossible or something. So that's, you know, one reason why it's important to at least have 1 tester on each size. But again, like, what a wonderful thing to have 5 different sizes and maybe 2 testers per size. Now you've got 10 finished projects. Now you've got a pattern to release, and you have 10 projects that now other people can go, oh, look, people are actually making this. They followed it. They like it. You know, look at all these different yarns that were used or different colors, and you can see it. You can see not just one size on one body type, but you see lots of different sizes on lots of different body types. So that's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, that is fantastic. And that leads us really well into our last one, because I think this is something that a lot of people overlook. Yeah. And it's a really, really awesome way to document. Yes, other people have made this. Yes, they enjoyed it. Yes, they made it with this yarn in this size, and this is what it looks like. So our last checklist item is use Ravelry. So Selena, can you elaborate on that one for us?
Absolutely. So a lot of you guys who sell knitting crochet patterns already, you're like, yeah, of course I'm using Ravelry. That's where I sell my patterns. Duh, Selena. I know you guys still say duh.
Duh. But we say it just like that.
Yeah, I know. Maybe that's just me. But if you're listing your pattern there, you have to also ensure some other things to really get the most out of Ravelry, and that's why we have this as a tip. So you've got to ensure that, 1, your testers are posting their projects there and they're linking those projects that they've completed to your listing. Make sure that they're doing some really small things that help put you on the map better. Like, are they adding images? Are they giving you a star rating? Are they listing what yarn they used? Are they listing what size they used? Are they adding in those project details that really help to highlight your listing as a whole? Now, you can totally do things that offer incentives for all the testers that you have to post when they're done. Like, hey, post this project here when you're done. Here's a little tutorial so that you know exactly how to do it. You can't assume that people know and just kind of dump it in their lap. You have to give them and say, hey, this is a great thing for you. As this helps me, yes, but this also helps you to build your crochet resume. Here are the things that you've made. It links back to the pattern. You can go back and look at all the things that you've made and see what, hey, I've used this yarn before in this project. What did I think? What did that colorway look like? It just kind of keeps your own resume of projects. Or you can do stuff like, give them a free pattern or whatever really incentivizes them. Incentivizes.
That's a word.
All right. Okay, we'll go with that. And motivates them to help you with that process. Definitely do that and see what works for them. Now, this is a great feature, again, not only for your testers, but it's also great for anyone who's going to work up the pattern, anyone who's thinking about working up the pattern, anyone who stumbles across your pattern and wants to know, has anyone else ever made this? Oh, they have. Oh, and it has a good rating. And here's all the different yarns that you could utilize for this. So Ravelry, are you listing your patterns there? Sure. But are you doing all these other things to help put your listings on the map?
Yeah, I think that's important. I can't remember the last time I was looking for a pattern on Ravelry, looked at a pattern and didn't look at finished projects. I always do, because the designer's finished object and their gorgeously photographed images are one thing. And they're enticing and they pull you in and they look beautiful. But I want to see what, for lack of a better word, regular people, made.
Exactly.
And what theirs look like. And did someone say, hey, the pattern was really hard to follow? Or someone said, I wish I had used this yarn instead of that yarn. So I also look at the comments there, and all of those things are really valuable for your patterns as well. We have Amanda asked a question. She said, I've had pattern testers twice, and so far I've had a good batch. How do you handle a bad tester? So do you have any advice for her, Selena?
Well, let me see. I think that sometimes you're just going to have people who fall through for some reason. They're sick, or they're, something happened, they have an emergency, or they can't commit to the pattern like they thought they could. I think that if you're rounding up testers, you have got to do everything that you can to make that process as easy as possible for them. So you have to outline your expectations. Jess, you are going to make this size, and I need feedback by this date, and this is exactly what feedback I'm looking for. If you ever have any questions, you need to be accessible. Let them know how they can give you feedback. And then if it just doesn't work out, I think that if you're really giving them a reasonable time frame, and if you're not really hearing from them, you can still pull from, your original, however you first solicited for testers, and say, hey, the large size fell through. Is someone else interested? I'll tack on a few extra days. So if you have an excellent process that you've outlined, you're very clear about your expectations, you can really, and you just have that expectation that, hey, some of these people, for whatever reason, maybe they're not a bad tester, maybe it just doesn't pan out. And if you look at it that way, then just easily, come up with solutions that you can put a new tester in there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very good advice. Well, everyone seems to love Ravelry. Duh.
I know.
We have Courtney says, yes, Ravelry. She also said all great tips. Linda says she posts nearly everything she makes on Ravelry. I do too, for the most part. Kelly said she saves almost everything on Ravelry as well. And Courtney said Ravelry and I are besties.
Oh, I know that about Courtney. I do.
Courtney's I love it.
Hero. Yeah.
Well, we've gone through 5 really awesome tips to make your pattern testing experience better.
Yes.
no matter what side of the pattern testing fence you're on. And now that you have those guidelines to help you test patterns with greater ease, you might also be interested in having a successful launch strategy when you're selling your patterns. So when we talk about launch, because some people launch, the terminology gets a little confusing. When we talk about launching a pattern, we're talking about taking it from the pattern is done, okay, it's written, and now we need to sell it. Like, we want to sell it. So what are the things that happen to get us to sell our patterns? And that's what we're talking about. Selena has an awesome launch strategy. It ensures that you're earning a consistent paycheck from your pattern sales. It gives you a checklist to help you with everything from being inspired to engaging and selling every week. And it also gives you a proactive strategy that adds value to your work. So you never have to beg for sales or discount everything. That's something that Selena and I are both very adamant on, that we don't like to do. So Selena is hosting, I'm hosting the workshop, and Selena's teaching the workshop. You can join this live workshop hosted by the YPS and Selena Baca Crochet. From we started, our first lesson was yesterday, right? But it's awesome because we're doing it in a Facebook group, so you can go back and watch all your replays. You can go back and watch all your replays. You can always, Selena's in there every single day answering questions, and she's doing live Q&As and all that good stuff. So it's a 4-week total workshop, and then you have another 6 weeks, not another 6 weeks, 6 weeks total. Yeah, I got to get my numbers together. See, this is what happens when I have to deal with math at all. You have 6 weeks total to take advantage of all of the information in the workshop. So if you're looking for real world advice, and we're talking about, exactly the strategy that Selena uses to sell her patterns, this actually works. So if you can't join live, the replay will be available exclusively with YPS starting in 2019. So if you can't join us for this workshop, you will have an opportunity to experience the materials, just not live. You'll get all of our links. We have our links if you'd like to join the workshop today. It is not too late, okay? So you can join through this weekend. I think we said we're going to do. So through this weekend, and then registration is closed. That way everyone can focus on the content. That's right. So if you're interested in joining, we'll put the link down in the show notes below this video. Thank you guys so much. Let me take a peek. Amanda says, thanks for answering your question. And she said, I love Ravelry too. Definitely adding more patterns soon. Awesome, Amanda. Well, I don't see any more questions or comments. So that concludes
everything. They're speechless.
Right? They're like, just like that. I can imagine that's what everybody is doing.
I know.
Except for
all the time.
Yeah. Except for Natalia. No, she's busy having a baby.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, totally gonna
God, so busy. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. That concludes today's episode. What did you guys think? Leave your comments below. Please join us again for episode 8 of 10 as we outline another great topic for everyone who enjoys the yarn life.
That's right. So remember, today's episode is sponsored in part by you amazing viewers. So please, again, check out our Yarn Life swag shop to pick up a token tee, tote, or mug today, because every purchase that you make there helps us to create even more great content, more episodes, and bring on even more amazing guests. Again, you can find that shop link in the show notes section today.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining this episode of the Yarn Life Show for your daily dose of fiber. We'll see you all next time.
See you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.